What is up, everybody? It is ITG Daily, the show that brings you all the hottest in gaming news from the industry. I'm Drew Bosley. That is Scott Savage. Scott, what is happening today, my friend?
Oh, looking forward to another show. We got a lot of news packed into this one, and April just seems to be flying by, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're already almost at the halfway mark already. Things are just happening. It's just nonstop here. And of course, if you want to be a part of our show, then just join us live. Twitch.tv/theofficialitg. Send in your questions. We'll answer them live on the show, or hit us up in our Discord at ITG Daily. You can also catch our show later on YouTube, podcast services around the world, and of course, InsideTheGame.ca. We do have some housekeeping to get started. Are microtransactions killing the fun of gaming? It is a gaming not known as what you're going to get for your bucks or for your dollar. This is the biggest podcast Brad over the Northern Nerdcast is going to have, and myself, Nate, and a few others will be there live tomorrow, so make sure you swing by or check it later on his Facebook or I believe YouTube channel. So make sure Northern Nerdcast, look it up. We'll be there, myself, Nate, and a couple others talking about microtransactions. Scott, it's funny to see how far microtransactions has come. Dude, we should be in for a great discussion tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of meat to that conversation. I could get into.
Absolutely. So let's get started because Tencent is making billions. We touched on it briefly yesterday. Well, it just keeps getting bigger. And what's the future of Days Gone look like? Well, it could be just gone altogether. Let's get started with Tencent. Tencent bets billions on gamers with more fans than the NBA stars. At the height of the global pandemic in October, more than 6,000 people packed into a new 25-acre stadium in Shanghai to watch one of the world's biggest sporting contests. Another 45 million tuned in online, about as many as watched the 6 games of the NBA Finals in 2020. They're talking about League of Legends. Dude, they're making a killing over here. Tencent is part of that. Obviously, the Asian market for esports is huge, and it just seems to keep getting bigger and bigger. Esports is like the Super Bowl, which isn't just a sport event, but also a vehicle of art and entertainment, said TJ Co-Chief Executive Officer Leo Lin. We are going for the direction of connecting esports with our games and a wider entertainment business. Tencent's investing in esports for the long haul because it breaks the boundaries between different businesses, from licensing to sponsorships and ticket sales. Dude, it just keeps getting huge. In December 31st, they made $185 billion. That is up from the $131 billion back in September. So not even like a whole 3 months later, dude, practically, and they've just gone up $50 billion. Esports is huge. The NBA, NFL, and HBO are huge as well. But when it comes to FIFA, PUBG, Fortnite, and musical Universal events and such, it's just a nonstop industry right now. It keeps seeming to be on the rise. What do you think of the world of esports? Because, dude, it is nonstop.
Yeah, that is incredible numbers. I know when esports was kind of the first in its infancy and kind of just coming out to the news for the first time, a lot of people were really skeptical about it. People didn't take it seriously.
Yeah,
they thought it would just flop commercially, and that's since been proven just about 100% wrong. And there's huge numbers coming in with this. I like seeing esports actually being elevated to the level of actual traditional sporting events. I think the idea of a big stadium packed with fans is something that's really cool. And if you package that with a lot of different entertainment, you can get a pretty diverse crowd of people that are interested. So I think this is kind of a no-brainer going forward. We're in the 2020s now, and I think this is going to be a big swell in entertainment.
No, absolutely. We're starting to see the rise even take on to the Western front. We saw Toronto just recently announced a $500 million complex going up in downtown Toronto that's focused alone on esports, right? That's a huge step forward in just the Western space when it comes to esports. You get Call of Duty, you're getting some of these massive stadiums now come arise because these events are becoming just as big as watching the pro athletes when it comes to the MLB or the NBA and NHL. All that stuff is turned around, and it's on a new generation, I think, is what it really kind of comes down to, Scott. We're going to have the sports fans. Dude, I love watching baseball or the NBA, but there's something unique when I'm watching Rainbow Six. Now, I know that's not the biggest when we're comparing it to League of Legends, but it's my esports kind of thing to go to, or PUBG, to sit and watch these players. They just elevate the game to something that's just it's phenomenal to watch, because I don't have the capabilities of, matching their T, or I probably wouldn't be doing the show, and I might be doing that instead. So
yeah, it is somewhat more personal because we're allowed to play those games on the same, we could rise to that level and play just the same as they are. And there's something personable about being able to tune in on a weekly or daily basis to these people as they're training in some regards, or just, playing with other leveled kind of e-celebrities now. It really is a new generation. I think you're correct about that. It's one that's very close with the, people that are gaining all this fame.
No, absolutely. You're starting to see merch come out now as well, right? Like, everybody's sporting their own team. They want to support them somehow, some way. And you saw that, from the old days with NHL. Like, how many Leafs jerseys have people gotten? And honestly, like, the Leafs just don't pull it together very often. So, yet they still make a ton of money. So now we're starting to see it just kind of turn around in a different genre and in a different generation. And I think the rise of esports is a fascinating thing to watch. And everybody now seems to be jumping in hard and heavy on it, because it is the newest thing. It's like the hot thing right now. Will it stick around? Absolutely. I don't think this is going to go anywhere at all.
No, I think it's only growth from here.
Yeah, Flooded Studios hits it up right. He says ITG jerseys. Dude, absolutely. We should get some of those happening. I think I know somebody who can hook us up with that.
I'm a fan of that idea.
Let's get into the Outriders patch and server update. Okay, a lot of us anyways, been playing Outriders, and well, it's been having some major issues. The first patch update is arriving next week. No official date, just next week is what we've been told, and should fix a large number of issues, especially with crashes. Launch players who played Outriders from March 31st to April 11th will get a complimentary thank you package in the near future. The Outriders team is working on doing a mass restoration of lost epic and legendary gear. So people are losing some high-end gear, which is really unfortunate when you get to the end of that game, dude. And they also stated, our team worked throughout the Easter weekend and around the clock to resolve server issues players were experiencing. We completely understand how frustrating this experience will have been, especially given the huge amount of players eagerly anticipating the launch. We had enough server scaling capacity, but our externally hosted database is seeing issues. That only appeared at extreme loads. So what they're basically saying is, well, actually, the whole article kind of goes on and talks about when they did the demo, everybody jumped in and servers were perfect. Everything worked just fine because I didn't have any disconnects whatsoever. Now, it seems to be on the hosted database side that they're experiencing when a lot of us are on, that it just keeps kicking us out. Dude, I have yet to be able to connect with anybody on here. I know I'm talking to Northern Nerdcast a lot about this as well. He's experiencing over on PlayStation. I'm experiencing this on the Xbox side. It's definitely a concern, and it kind of makes me question the longevity of the game moving forward.
Yeah, that hurts at launch time, especially. It's definitely been not ideal way of releasing the game, but it kind of has me thinking: did they take the game possibly a step too far, one bridge too far, rather,
right,
by bringing it to Game Pass and just allowing for that much extreme load? But then again, how do you criticize a company for experiencing extreme success? Basically, they have a huge player base, and that's certainly is a measure of what we're dealing with here. Everybody seems excited about it and trying to get on. It is really, really difficult to connect with somebody, and this is a co-op kind of based game. So I really hope they do get this under wraps, but I don't think there's anything absolute about this patch either. I don't know if this is going to be the patch that solves the problem.
Yeah, no, I don't know either. And GameSub says, yeah, a bunch of crashes. Northern Nerdcast talks about he lost an entire quest and set him back a bunch because of that, right? He wasn't able even to complete the
Oh,
quest. It's just been unfortunate. But yeah, it is. It is. There's two sides of it, right? Yeah, great to see People Can Fly have the success of the game. This could then prove into, like, walk us into Outriders 2. This could prevent us, though, from wanting to play the sequel because there's so many crashes. I think they will be able to iron it out over time, but it takes time to figure out what's going on. And if their internals are working just fine, but the actual host for the data that's the biggest thing. I saw people complaining about, it's a brand new game, servers are down, blah, blah, blah. In the grand scope of things, dude, last year at this point, we couldn't find toilet paper. So let's just take a look at that. You know what I mean? So let's just, I saw that tweet on Twitter. I thought it was hilarious. But it made a good point, right? This is a video game at the end of the day. It does suck because I want to play this. We put our review on hold because of crashes and just the inability to play the game properly. You can play it solo. That works just fine. But that's not how the game was intended. And because it was intended to play with two other of your friends, that is how we want to review the game. And that's what we're going to do over to ITG. But yeah, it's preventing a lot of people, I think, from really enjoying the grand scope of the game.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't just sour that experience of a second game, because Outriders seems to have a good promise. And I'm not going to get into a review at the moment, but I'm curious to see what kind of things they come out with, or what I'm going to find further on in the game. I really am hopeful for this title.
Yeah, no, I think it does.
Unfortunate to see it stumble.
Yeah, it is unfortunate, but I think it shows promise. I think there's a lot of game content in there that's going to keep it going. And like I said, we're talking tomorrow night about microtransaction on the Northern Nerdcast, and this one doesn't have any microtransactions. So there's something to keep in mind as well. Pretty unique nowadays, something we don't see very often. You just don't get a base game and go, here you go, it's over, that's it, you're done, right?
Yeah, now I do like that experience a lot better than microtransactions.
Yeah, for sure. Over at Stadia, they have a makers program. Stadia is proud to be a place where small teams with big dreams can make great games. Today, we're showcasing 10 more of those games coming to life within Stadia Makers program. Stadia Makers helps support independent studios interested in launching their Unity-based games on Stadia. Unity-based. So that means if you have an Unreal Engine, you're not going to be able to get it over there as easily. I'm not sure how that works. I just thought it was kind of unique that they said Unity-based. Enabling creative voices and bringing diverse games to light. Whether you're interested in games that scratch your creative itch or throw you deep into an unforgettable adventure, these 10 games from independent developers in the Stadia Makers program have something for everyone. All right, let's take a look at the list, because they have The Dark Side Detective, A Fumble in the Dark, 100 Days, Winemaking Simulator. Dude, there's so many of these simulator games that is blowing me away right now. We've got one coming up later on the show, and I'm just questioning it all the time now at this point. Foreclosed, we saw yesterday. That was that comic book style thing. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
Figment 2, Creed Valley, Grime, She Dreams Elsewhere, Mercs Market, Death Carnival, Jay and Silent Bob, Chronic Blunt Punch, and Sky Climbers. Sky Climbers is one that really kind of captivated me and took my eye. It says build your kingdom, choose your class, and tame monsters in the multiplayer city building open world action RPG that takes place in a procedurally generated anime themed metaverse. Dude, that game looks cool.
That is quite a blurb about it, though.
Yes, it is. There's a whole other bunch of details. You can find it over on Stadia.com. Look into that. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Sky Climbers has my eye. That's one that I want actually right now. I saw this yesterday. I was like, man, I want to play that one. Let's go.
I don't think this is the I don't think this is the Jay and Silent Bob game I was looking for, but I'm interested. I'm very curious. It's a title you don't see very often either.
Dude, so we've seen the closure of Stadia Games and Service. Now they have to focus on getting other avenues. No longer will we see a first-party title come out of Stadia, which is pretty disappointing. We're going to see a lot of second-party and third-party stuff. What does the future of Stadia look like to you, Scott?
Well, this makes me a little more hopeful. The fact that they're just being open, allowing small developers to take the tools and and give them a venue to operate on. I think that's a good move because they don't want to stagnate. And I'm not sure how big the coffers of Google are, how many deals they can really keep making to keep bringing all these games to Stadia.
Yeah.
They've certainly made a very big push in the last year. So I think this is very positive, getting a lot of kind of new growth developing under the umbrella. And hopefully something is made out of that that's really nice quality and they can stick around, maybe produce a few titles for Stadia.
No, absolutely. I'm still skeptical on the whole thing. I'm looking for another interview to come out of Stadia, hopefully in the near future. I'd love to talk to Jack once again to see what his outtake is on all this, see what he can say and what he probably can twist and not say kind of thing. So he's very good with his choice of words, which is fantastic. Always cool to see. But let's move on to I think is probably the biggest story of the day. The Last of Us remake is reportedly happening. It's in development, and Days Gone 2, well, the pitch was just rejected. Sony Studios are reportedly working on a remake of The Last of Us. Not The Last of Us Part 2. We just saw that one. The Last of Us now is about 8 years old. So they're looking to bring that over. I know, man. Dude, that flew by. Like, where did that go? That is now in the talks. While Sony Bend begins work on a new game after an unsuccessful 2019 pitch to make Days Gone 2. This is in a Bloomberg report into a dissatisfaction among Sony's lesser-known studios. Sources say that The Last of Us remake, codenamed T1X, was started by Michael Monbauer, the founder of Visual Arts Service Group, a Sony developer that traditionally assists development in PlayStation game studios. The Monbauer, man, that's quite the name, apparently assembled a new 30-strong development group, and after passing on the idea of a remake of the first Uncharted game, settled on the remake of 2013's The Last of Us. Oh, that's 2013. Dude, that was a long time ago. That's almost, we're coming up on nearly 10 years. Dude, that's crazy.
However, I can't believe it's been that long.
Oh, I know, exactly. However, the team reportedly ran into trouble after Sony kept their existence as a secret and refused to offer extra budget. Head of PlayStation Studios Herman Hulst apparently deemed the project too expensive. The team was moved to support development in other titles like The Last of Us Part 2. Now, I want to get into some staff over at Ben reportedly left as a result of having an anomaly taken away. The leadership allegedly complained to Sony and asked them to be moved off an Uncharted development. Sony Ben is now apparently working on a new original game, but it's not clear what that is yet. Whether it's new, Days Gone 2, but it sounds like they, being Sony Ben, have been shut down for a Days Gone 2, but it could be in development for another Uncharted game. Now, I did some digging, all right? You ready for this? In the first 3 days after launch, Scott, Days Gone sold 114,000 units, all right? Now, if we look at Uncharted, lifetime sales previous 3 Uncharted games are estimated about 5 million, 6.6 million for Uncharted 2, and 6.7 million for Uncharted 3, and 8.7 for Uncharted 4. Now, Benji Sales took to Twitter, who is a sales analyst within the industry, says Days Gone was the best-selling PS4 exclusive on PSN in 2019 and also made top 10 best-selling digital games of the year. Sony won't do PR on the sales success of this game, but I'll be keep pointing out how well the game is done. So this is where it's impressive because it sold more copies on PSN than other major 2019 releases such as Mortal Kombat 11 and Borderlands 3. So why is a new IP, Scott, being shut down, dude?
Yeah, it sounded pretty promising. But just to can it like that, it's strange. But then you look at the numbers of Uncharted and those clearly do well.
Well, that's just it, right? I don't think it did well enough under what Sony is kind of holding as a precedent right now for all of these titles. When you get into Uncharted, those are huge numbers. Uncharted now has also been around for a while. It's not a new IP, but then The Last of Us launches, and that does extremely well. But they were coming out of Naughty Dog, right? Who's one of the well-known AAA development studios within the industry alone, not just over at PlayStation, but worldwide. And then you get into Sony Ben, man, I thought they had something good. I thought Days Gone was a good game. I didn't think it was a fantastic game. I think maybe that's what they're looking at. It just wasn't enough to keep going forward. But when it outbeats Mortal Kombat 11 and other titles, in 2019, it kind of, Borderlands 3 being that other title and others along the way, it kind of makes you wonder, like, what is your standard then at that point? Because you're already beating out two other successful, like very successful games.
Yeah, serialized games as well. There's going to be another Mortal Kombat.
Absolutely.
That's a given.
I'm surprised that there's just nothing else coming out of Days Gone. I thought for sure we'd be lined up for a sequel. I thought something would be happening there. So it was pretty disappointing to see that, there's just nothing going to happen now.
That is unfortunate. I've been very curious about Days Gone, and I can't believe the amount of time has passed. So maybe it's about time I start looking into it, whether they remake it or not.
There are rumors, though, that they are working on an Uncharted game. Another one. Not a remake, but an actual new Uncharted. Uncharted 5. Now, I won't spoil the ending of Uncharted 4, but it kind of makes me believe that Nathan Drake is now finished. Kind of like it has... There's options there, right? Naughty Dog is very good at leaving the window open, but it seems like there could be a future of something else happening within the Uncharted series, but not with the main characters we've all kind of known and loved.
Well, that's strange to me because the characters are a large part of that, I'm sure, and I've been told that the dynamics between the characters and Nathan Drake is really good. So it's interesting to see what they would pull to make a fifth title, but then a fifth title now is getting on in numbers. There's quite a few of these games. So they could be doing something in the vein of Assassin's Creed, just moving on to another character in order to tell a longer, larger backstory, perhaps.
Sure.
So it's still hopeful for fans of the series.
No, absolutely. In other news, there's been a deal with Netflix that Sony's now partnering to pay up big money over there, bringing over $1 billion. Netflix took to Twitter and said, starting in 2022, Netflix will be the first U.S. streaming home for Sony Picture Films following their theatrical releases. Get ready for Uncharted, Morbius, Bullet Train, and a whole bunch of others, including Into the Spider-Verse. Dude, that's a big get over on Netflix. Sony, this is... And Northern Nerdcast brought this up. Dude, you're hot today, Northern Nerdcast. He's on fire. Netflix shelled it out, and to point out the Nate's reasoning, what's next for Sony is they're coming to Netflix, not necessarily competing directly with Xbox, but they're competing in other avenues where Xbox isn't.
Oh, it's interesting to see. Sony's always been that larger conglomeration. They produce hardware and televisions and all sorts of stuff. So this is makes a lot of sense for them to kind of step out of the normal ring and into another one. And there's a ton of movies that have been coming out. Video game movies, something we've been talking about a lot recently. So
man,
it seems like it's not about to let up, and hopefully we get some good quality content out of that.
Absolutely. Let's move on to the Resident Evil Reverse beta has been pulled offline just after hours of its actual launch.
Oh.
Yeah, this was disappointing, I'm sure, for a lot of people. As we are still seeing issues with the Resident Evil verse, the open beta testing matchmaking service, we have decided that until further notice to temporarily suspend the beta. It's unfortunate, but they will be investigating, and they do apologize for any inconvenience caused. Capcom hasn't given a time as to how long this will take, but the beta ends this weekend. So that could probably see a whole readjust of everything on that one, Scott.
Yeah, hopefully they open the window up again and just provide another later date to do the beta, because if this is one problem they've run into just by opening the beta, who knows how many other issues they will run into along the road, and that's the purpose of the beta. So yeah. I would like to see that worked on properly, because something like this on a full release could just totally kill the game. And I don't want to see that happen. I'm a fan of the Resident Evil universe, so this is an interesting title for me to check out for sure.
Nice. Let's move on to game announcements. You ready for this? So we talked about the simulator series kind of thing going on. Well, Scott, are you ready for Gas Station Simulator?
That is not what I saw coming.
That's like I just. Hang on, give me a minute, because I never saw this one happening. This just seems weird. Early days, the prologue to the upcoming title. It will enter into free public access around April 15th. In the Gas Station Simulator, you renovate, customize, and expand your gas station business in the middle of nowhere, America. So take that for whatever you want. But yeah, if you want to play some Gas Station Simulator, then by all means, there you go. Alpha test.
Middle of America. I'm definitely putting, you got to put a little diner in there.
Yeah, exactly. Alpha tests will roll out to select regions in the second quarter of 2021 for PUBG New State. This is their latest game, their latest adaptation of the PUBG on mobile. They saw 10 million pre-downloads ready to go. Everybody all set, ready to rock over on PUBG, the New State, which is set in a 2051 time era. What do you think of that one, Scott?
Oh, that's shaking it up quite a bit. The shooters as of late have kind of drifted a little bit further off into the future. Slowly but surely they get just a little bit further out, I've noticed.
Yeah.
So maybe with all the exosuit kind of wearing and the futuristic weapons, that this is the kind of place they want to paint PUBG in. I think that could be really interesting if it's done well. That's something different.
Yeah, PUBG Mobile's been around for a long time, so now that they've kind of adjusted their stance and where they're moving in a new direction with a whole new game, a lot of people seem to be pretty excited because, yeah, pre-registration numbers have gone extremely well. 10 million people have pre-registered in just under 43 days of announcing the game. Not a bad get at all. Let's move on to Spellbreak, the new Chapter 2, The Fracture, is now available. Take on Dominion mode. So this is a new game mode altogether. I'm like, dude, I'm jumping back into this game. Rank up in leagues and thwart nefarious vow keepers. Play for free on Steam, Epic, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. All kinds of things happening over there. That's cool. There's a whole new game mode. This new 5 versus 5 objective-based mode. Man, I'm in.
And just a free update. I like that.
Free's always good, isn't it?
Yeah, that is hard to complain about for sure.
Scott, as a kid, what is the cars you played with the most?
Oh, I wasn't much into cars.
Oh, now you just let me down. Then I'm cutting you off. Forget it. I'm talking about Hot Wheels Unleashed. Scott, drifting, boosting, and jumping is just the beginning of what makes Hot Wheels Unleashed an iconic thrill ride from the starting line to the finish line. There's no official date on when this is coming out. Oh, there it is. It's coming September 30th. They've already announced 6 vehicles. There's going to be 60 plus vehicles on day 1. There's going to be all kinds of stuff. You saw Hot Wheels come over to the Forza Horizon series, which was a great piece of DLC. Now Hot Wheels, I want to say they've had their own game in the past, but now this is a brand new game coming to next-gen consoles. Scott, if you didn't play with Hot Wheels, well, now here is your chance.
It's funny enough that you mentioned the older game, because I believe I have played a Hot Wheels game.
There you go.
It would have been on PC, and it may have been actually 20 years ago.
Oh, but wow.
It certainly has been a long time. I'm a fan of the GTA stunt tracks.
Yeah, sure.
So I imagine that Hot Wheels is going to be, in the wheelhouse of that. I might actually be into this game.
Nice. There's another new game called Enlisted that comes to free to play. Enlisted is a squad-based first-person MMO shooter covering key battles from World War II. The game carefully recreates weapons, military vehicles, and an atmosphere of the era while demonstrating realistic massive clashes of numerous soldiers, tanks, and aircrafts with artillery and naval support. That was coming free to play. It's coming to consoles too, which I was kind of impressed.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It is interesting. And Gwent, if you're into Gwent and you have a Mac and you've been looking for it on the Apple device, well, now is your chance. It launches very soon. So look for that if you've been waiting for Gwent and haven't played it anywhere else. And then lastly, the multiplayer social deduction game First Class Trouble is available now on Steam Early Access. Look at this as a Among Us take in third person. You're
Oh, okay.
you're stranded on a boat. We actually have codes, so we'll be jumping into this to kind of kill each other off. Should be kind of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Scott, I think that is it for new games. What are coming out today, though? Let us know, will you?
All right, we have a few titles here, so I'm gonna run down them fairly quickly. We have Say No More coming to the PC and the Switch. We have Trials of Fire to the PC. The Legend of Heroes Trials of Cold Steel 4, that's coming to the Switch and the PC. Skyland Heart of the Mountain on Switch and Xbox One. Yoko and Yuki's Dr. Rat's Revenge coming to the Xbox One and the Switch. Sounds like a silly title there.
Makes these titles.
And Ravensword Shadowlands coming to the Xbox One.
Nice. That's not a bad list. There's lots of games to play. Scott, what are you playing this weekend? I know what you're playing this weekend.
Yeah, it's already decided for me.
Splinter Cell.
Absolutely.
That is awesome. Dude, I looked at it last night. I want to get it. It looks like the servers are still up for Blacklist. So there's co-op action and the multiplayer is there. I'm thinking that looks like a future Let's Play 2v2 kind of scenario. Yeah, jump into some Splinter Cell.
I might have to check out Blacklist next.
Dude, they should remaster that, shouldn't they?
It's certainly been long enough. Any Splinter Cell is going to be welcome in my books.
Yeah, me too. Hands down.
Remaster the last one for all. I will enjoy it.
Absolutely. And this has been it for ITG Daily. Everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. And don't forget, I will be live with Nate tomorrow over at the Northern Nerdcast talking about microtransactions. The good, the bad, the ugly. Don't forget, you can find us later on youtube.com, TV services around the world, podcast services as well, and insidethegame.ca. Everybody, have a great weekend. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you inside the game.